Today is the first day of using my writing guide to craft the story and narrative for my debut comic, and we're off to a rocky start already. I started writing this over a year ago, and I can barely even remember what I was trying to write, and then the entire thing is written out of order. I have full scenes and characters and dialogue, but no world building. And for context, this is supposed to be a thriller based off of The Thing. First things first, I needed to read over everything that I had already written. And let's just say, this story is in pretty rough shape. This was originally set out to be a chronological 4-chapter comic where the first 3 chapters follow my female protagonist experiencing the incident, and then the last chapter, she has to defend herself in the homicide case that's brought against her. And all of that is very great, very interesting, but what would be slightly more interesting is following the perspective of the agent or local police officer, whichever one I decide on later. He gets a case that seems like a seemingly open and closed case of double homicide on a remote island, but he starts looking more at the evidence and starts reading between the lines, and he figures out something is a little bit odd here, something's off. This isn't just a shut and close case. Now he's dealing with pressure from his superiors to start moving this case along, get it closed, get it to court, whatever, just prosecute her already. And he starts questioning why they're in such a rush to hurry up and close the case. And then he ends up uncovering the truth. That is something that I'm more motivated to write. But such a drastic change is going to alter a lot of things about this story. The first being, now we're shifting from straight thriller into mystery thriller, and that's going to alter how we craft our scenes. We're not going to be so much fear focused as we are uncovering mysteries focused with some fear elements. Second, now we're changing point of view. We're no longer following my female protagonist, we're following the FBI agent. And what this means is that we're going to have to do a complete scene overhaul and reshape the scenes, but also now the audience does not know what happened that night, so we have to kind of play with how this evidence is being presented, because my female protagonist is going to be dealing with some severe mental health issues as she's being questioned by the police and FBI. Which we can kind of play with as like an unreliable narrator, where the FBI agent and the audience are encountering so many lies and half-truths, they don't really know who or what to believe. And lastly, is this going to be 4 chapters? I don't know. I'll figure that out later. The last thing before jumping into the guide is figuring out what we know we want to keep and figuring out what we know we want to cut. So I know that I want to keep the eerie interactions with the bunny and deer version of the monster. I know that there's like a hydrangea scene that I want to keep, and I know that I want to keep, let's call it the orbs, because I'm not trying to give away too much in case any of you guys want to read the full comic when it comes out. So for the things that I know that I want to get rid of, for some reason I gave this thing like weird superpowers. That we're gonna cut. Shape-shifting, I think I prefer it controlling its victims. I gave it a 3-kill power-up for some reason. I don't even know what that is. And then the origin of this monster beast thing, we're gonna figure out a different one for it. Now it's time to use the writing guide. We're going to skip past all of the art parts at the beginning because I'm just not ready to start putting artwork and visuals to this yet. And we're going to begin at plot part 1, big picture. Since I literally just finished writing this guide last month, and all of this knowledge came from my head anyway, I'm just going to skip past all of the educational concepts and jump right into the workbook section. Here, I'm filling out my conflict, setting, genre, and tone. Now, altogether, genre and tone may seem unimportant, but they really are. Just much later in the writing process. Like what I mentioned earlier about writing a thriller versus a mystery thriller, genre and tone together shape how these scenes become framed. The last workbook activity calls for me to take that same middle school language arts diagram that's meant to represent beats within a story and apply my story ideas so far to it. Right now, I know the first half of my story, but clearly the other half is a mystery to even me, and that's okay. You really shouldn't have a full retrospect of your entire story from start to finish at this point. Sometimes you can, but it's really not necessary, because all of that will be sorted out later on. For now, I'm just going to jot down some ideas and a little evidence idea dump of things that I believe this agent should slowly uncover. That concludes plot part 1. Next time, we'll be following the second chapter, which is character. If you want to get this guide for your own stories, check out the Artist's Guide to Writing. And if you're unsure if this is even going to be useful for you, go ahead and check out the free sample as it covers plot part 1 and more. Both will be linked below. Be sure to tune in Friday because I'll be sharing useful business tips that the Lord has unveiled onto me over the years. Thanks again for watching. Bye!